Let's speak to Fox News correspondent over there in Washington, David Spunt. Welcome, David. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Kevin. Sure, you bet.
Well, I mean, for God's sake, what a situation over in your country. Unprecedented. We're waiting for Donald Trump to turn up at that New York court. But we've been concentrating, David, over here in London, on the backlash. We learned that as many as 70% of Americans feel that Donald Trump is the victim of a stitch-up, a politically motivated legal sting. This is a fatuous lawsuit specifically designed to ruin the Republicans' top candidate. What's the feeling over there?
Well, you know, Donald Trump, the former president, will appear in court in about 2 hours and 45 minutes from now. But the important thing to point out, Kevin, is there's been a lot of predictions and pontifications and really bluster from both sides of the political aisle, even those people that are fans of Donald Trump and those are his critics. And they haven't even seen the indictment yet. In the United States, it's done a little differently than in most countries. This indictment right now is sealed. It's going to be unsealed, we're told, shortly before, potentially during, or possibly shortly thereafter this arraignment, which is his first appearance. He was indicted last week on Thursday, and several days later, he's going to be arraigned today in front of a judge. So we haven't even seen what's in this indictment. Now, Kevin, there was speculation and witnesses came out, including the president's former fixer, Michael Cohen, who said this grand jury specifically was meeting about those hush money payments to the former adult film actress Stormy Daniels. But the actual indictment not out yet. So we're waiting to see exactly what Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, has up his sleeve here.
Yeah, what's the feeling about the fact that we understand that this indictment includes as many as 30 separate charges, which was a surprise because we thought it basically revolved around one payment of $130,000, which was wrongly accounted for, so goes the allegation. But suddenly we hear there are 30 counts in this. Could it be that Donald Trump is in more legal trouble than we thought, David?
It certainly could be. And it also could be the case where you have this grand jury voting on 30-plus charges. We're hearing it may be 30. There's some outlets that are saying it may be, 32 to 34, where it may be all involved in this payment, but it may be conversations that were had, phone calls, emails, that each one could be a charge. I don't want to get too far ahead of it because we don't know exactly what we're looking with here, but it's possible there could be some things that we've not heard of before, something that's not related to this hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. Listen, Kevin, what Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, is trying to do is take a misdemeanor, which is what he calls falsifying a business record, and turning it into a felony. So it's a bit of a gamble on his part here. He's saying that this money that went to Stormy Daniels, her real name is Stephanie Clifford, $130,000, came from Trump's, at the time, fixer, Michael Cohen. And he's saying the money was used to pay to keep Stormy Daniels quiet, which put Donald Trump over the hurdle to win the election. And then Donald Trump reimbursed Michael Cohen, according to the district attorney, later on. So he's saying that it's an unreported campaign violation, which he wants to make into a Class E felony, which is the lowest felony in the state of New York as far as the New York Penal Code is concerned. But nevertheless, it would be a felony. So there may be some surprises, answering your question on what we see inside this indictment when it's unsealed.
Yeah, interesting. The backlash in America, everybody expected that Donald Trump, the victim, as it were, maybe a mugshot, although we're hearing disappointingly we might not get one, that would be good for him, that people would rally to him, not necessarily because they're massive fans of Donald Trump, but they sense this is a political witch hunt. He's the victim of something that's not quite right here. So it was expected there would be a rallying of support for him. But I think the level of that rallying, the level of surge of support has been a shock, I think, to America, certainly to us over here. We're hearing that 70% of Americans feel that Donald Trump is the victim of something that really isn't right here. Try to sum up what's going on over there.
Well, the good news is we haven't seen any violent protests. People have been peaceful in the United States, which is good. We came off a very difficult time 2 years ago after the attack on the U.S. Capitol, January 6, 2021. So the good news is those people that are either for or against Donald Trump have been peaceful, which is the most important thing. I think you have seen a surge in his support right now because he's been all over television stations, on screens, all over the internet, splashed across headlines in newspapers from Boston to New York to Los Angeles and everywhere in between. So I think that there is that sense that Donald Trump is a victim from his supporters. However, you have people that don't like Donald Trump that believe this is a long time coming, and they say, listen, this will play out how this plays out. But, Kevin, we know right now there are other investigations, 2 federal investigations being run where I am in Washington, D.C., on the former president. That deals with those classified documents taken to Mar-a-Lago, potential obstruction, also his actions to overturn the 2020 election. And in Georgia, the U.S. state of Georgia, the local district attorney in Atlanta has impaneled a grand jury, or a grand jury was impaneled. That grand jury is now over and is weighing charges over a phone call then President Trump, he was still president, had with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to tell him to find 11,780 votes, which would have helped him win the election. So I think the people that are against Donald Trump are looking potentially past this, if this is not successful, and looking at those other instances, including the former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr under Donald Trump, who says the documents probe and any obstruction may be the biggest problem for Donald Trump, much more than what we're seeing today.
A final point, David. Obviously, the Democrats are saying, no, this is legal process and, you know, it's not politically motivated. Kind of hard to maintain that position, considering when Alvin Bragg ran for his position as district DA, district attorney in Manhattan, he ran on a ticket, I'm going to bring Donald Trump down.
He certainly did. And the critics of Alvin Bragg and the supporters of Donald Trump have no problem mentioning that. Alvin Bragg is going to, we think, have a news conference today, or a press conference or a press statement, something. We're told at 3:30 New York time. We'll see what he says. We're also waiting to see if the judge issues a gag order in this case. Not only that would affect Donald Trump, which in some ways could be harmful for someone that's running for president, no question, but for Alvin Bragg, who has been out there before, who's done media interviews, who has had no problem talking about his issues with Donald Trump, the man. So, yes, I think Alvin Bragg is someone that Donald Trump's critics say, hey, listen, this guy has been against Trump before he even came in office.